What's up, everybody, and welcome to Buzzworthy TV. And I'm your girl, Lady T. So, before we get started, y'all, I want to first wish everybody a wonderful, happy holiday. I hope you guys had a wonderful and Merry Christmas. And I hope you guys go into the new year with all the love, blessings, and prosperity that you deserve. So just want to wish you all a happy new year. Okay. And before we get into the mess with the color purple 2023, I need you guys to do me a few things. Number one, like the video. Thank you. Number two, subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much. And number three, drop a comment down in the comment section. Thanks so much. Okay, y'all. So I know it's been a minute, but trust me, a sister has been working. A sister is trying to move, okay? Sister gotta move, gotta pay painters, gotta pay people to lay down carpet. So sister's been working overtime, okay? So, yeah, been doing all that. But, you know, during the holiday season, I did get to sneak away a little bit from all the work to go see The Color Purple, you guys. I got to see it. I wanted to make sure I saw it within the first few days because I wanted to support, you know. And before we get into what I thought about the movie, let's talk about all the madness that erupted right before the movie dropped in theaters. Well, I should say premiered in theaters on Christmas Day. So, like a few days before the movie premiered, we're going to go over this just in case some people were living under a rock. Taraji P. Henson was on Gayle King's show on Sirius XM, and she was with the rest of the cast, you know, Fantasia, Danielle Brooks, and the rest of the cast. And she was talking about how she has not getting paid fairly. She doesn't feel like she's been paid fairly. She feels like every time she does something groundbreaking, she always has to start from scratch in terms of her pay. She's never gotten an increase. And to the point where she's thinking about quitting acting. Okay, like this lady was in literal tears. Okay, and like she said, you know, if she don't speak up, if she don't stand up for herself, what is that telling the other women that's coming after her? And I know exactly what she means because I see what Taraji is saying. Because if you think about it, Taraji was Golden Globe winner, Academy Award nominated for Benjamin Button and all this other things, you know, took network television by storm with her character Cookie on Empire, okay? She did all this, and yet she hasn't saw a raise. And I know she's looking at Fantasia and Danielle and how this movie could really put them on the map. And they're going to get all these accolades and people going to say how wonderful you are and how you deserve this and that. But at the end of the day, going to still have to start from the bottom in terms of fair pay. So I'm glad she spoke up because if you think about it, she's watching her sisters basically about to go through the same thing she went through. So I'm for one glad that she did speak up. Now, with her speaking up, that caused a domino effect. I mean, from actors speaking up, people in the music industry speaking up. Everybody's speaking up in support of Taraji. You know, we had Toni Braxton speaking up, Viola Davis, you know, Keke Palmer. Like, everybody was just rallying around her. And I'm just so glad that this is bringing some attention, because maybe her speaking up will cause change for the people that came after her. And for that, I want to give her props. Okay? And hopefully, too, you know, not only with this film, but the next film after this, you know, Taraji can get what she deserves as well. Now, you know, with that being said, you know, you had a lot of people supporting Taraji, but you also had some people, basically social media bullies, which you already know I can't stand. You know, got the negative Nancy's, the trolls, want to get on social media and be like, well, wasn't Monique saying the same thing? I don't want to hear nothing because y'all wasn't supporting Monique. Well, neither were you freaking trolls or internet bullies. I could tell you, when all that stuff happened with Monique, when she was calling people out in the industry and talking about how she was underpaid for her work and what she's brought to this industry, people were not paying her no attention. People were laughing at her. People were dragging her. Okay? Not just people in the industry not supporting her. We talking about everyday folks, the same folks that's in these comment sections talking about, oh, Monique said it first. Well, actually, Monique was one of the first, but we can't forget about Viola Davis. Heck, Taraji P. Henson been talking about it since Benjamin Button, that she hasn't gotten paid fairly, okay? And that was around the time when she was nominated for an Academy Award. Okay, so we're not just going to say that Monique was just a trailblazer. She was one of many, and we appreciate her for that. But to act like she was unfairly dragged when the same people who are saying that were the same people that were dragging her, it had me flabbergasted. Because the same people were like, oh, you should listen to Monique, you should have stood behind Monique, were the same ones laughing at Monique when she asked us to cancel Netflix because she wasn't getting paid properly. She wanted us to take a stand then. And then some people was like, well, you know, it's for the actors to do. They got a bigger platform. They could make a bigger, you know, they can make a bigger impression and all that. No, it's all about us working together. And see, that's what's wrong with us as a people. We always want to say, well, what they doing and what this person doing, instead of just coming together and stop pointing fingers. If we wouldn't have, as people, I want to say everyday life, people on social media, if we would have listened to Monique and canceled our Netflix, then Netflix would have saw their bottom line getting affected. And if people in the industry would have stood behind Monique, the industry would have saw their bottom line getting affected. So they would have got it from both ends, from the consumers and from the peers in the industry. Okay? And that's where we could have made a change. If we all would have stood together. It ain't, oh, it's up to the actors in the industry to stick together and make a change, or it ain't up to us just to boycott. It's all of us working together that's going to make a change. And that's what's missing in today's generation. So yeah, I wasn't feeling all that about how they was just trying to make this whole thing about Monique was right and y'all should have stood with Monique, when it's the same people, like I said, who was the same ones clowning her, laughing at her, and was talking about they weren't doing nothing when she asked them to cancel their Netflix, okay? So anyway, and then we're going to talk about how everybody want to blame Oprah for Taraji feeling upset. Well, again, Taraji has been talking about this since Benjamin Button, but all because she signed on with this movie with Oprah. Oh, Oprah's the bad guy. Even when she flat out says, hey, yeah, there was an issue. Warner Brothers was trying to lowball me, but I had to make one phone call and was heard by this black woman in power, and everything got straightened out. No one wants to hear what Taraji is actually saying. People want to make up narratives in their head. People all of a sudden want to be body language experts and things of that nature. And it's like, how are you going to make up a narrative in your own mind as if you were there and not believe the person that was actually there? How are you not going to believe that person's experience? And it's their experience. I never understood that when it came to people in social media. People say something, and all of a sudden you want to make up a narrative and tell them that they're lying, like you were there. So please, somebody in the comments, please explain that to me. Maybe I'm missing something, because I just thought that was crazy. Everybody went to jump to conclusions that, you know, she was talking about Oprah, and Oprah was one of the people who didn't pay her what she was worth. And then, you know, it was this video on TikTok when it was all standing on Empire State Building, and it looked like Oprah was moving away from Taraji, and Taraji was visibly upset. Taraji has been upset. She's tired. She's tired of doing all this groundbreaking work and not getting her just due. But it has nothing to do with Oprah. It just has to do with the industry, period. Hell, I'll be tired too. Here comes another fantastic movie, another groundbreaking movie, a movie that's about to, you know, by us, directed by us, starring us, going to be supported by us. But here I am, still getting paid as if I'm a baby boy. Y'all still paying me like I hate you, Jody. Y'all still paying her like she's still that girl. Instead of having Oscar-nominated roles and not being a part of a TV show that brought in millions and millions of viewers each week. Like, come on now. So I get it. She probably was just like, here we go again. I'm about to be a part of another amazing project and not get paid my worth. I don't think it necessarily had nothing to do with Oprah, because like she said, when she had an issue, she called Oprah. Oprah fixed it. So, yeah, I think people need to kill that narrative, especially when we weren't there. So we got to choose to believe what Taraji said, because it happened to her. Point blank, period. Okay, so enough with all that. Let's get to the movie. Okay, first of all, like I said, I wanted to make sure that I supported within the first few days. And if you guys can, I'm suggesting that you all get out to the movies and support the first week. Okay, it came out on Monday, Christmas Day. If you guys can come and go out to the movies between now and Monday, go ahead and get a ticket. It's worth it. Okay, I'm not gonna get too many spoilers because a lot of people still haven't seen it. Congratulations on them having the second highest opening Christmas Day in history. So love to see it. And so we just want to keep the momentum going, because again, it's starring us, it's supported by us, it's directed by us. Let's get it, y'all. They say that we don't translate. We don't bring in numbers. Let's prove them wrong, okay? So, back to the movie. Now, I was totally excited about the movie because, number one, I have loved the color purple since I could comprehend. I literally remember being maybe 4 or 5 in the movie theater with my grandmother. Now, mind you, I was just a little girl, so I wasn't really sitting there paying attention. I just remember being in the movie theater and my grandmother, and it was a whole group of us as a family going to go see the movie. Like I said, but as I grew up, my grandmother had the VHS because she loved the movie so much. And anytime there was nothing on TV, I would always pop that VHS in and just get my life for the next 2.5 hours as if I hadn't seen it, okay? Like, I promise you, I done seen it like a million times, okay? So, when they said they were going to do it, I was like, I don't know, y'all. The color purple, it was just perfectly casted. And it's so funny because a lot of these people are legends now, but they were just starting out. Oprah was just a local talk show host on AM Chicago. Whoopi was just a stand-up comedian. Not only was this her first big role, but it was a dramatic role at that. You know, Danny Glover, of course, we all knew who Danny Glover was. But, like, really, all these people, Ray Don Chong, we had all these people that had become legends. And this was like one of their breakout films. So that was amazing. And it was like, again, it was perfectly casted. And anyway, so like I said, I grew up watching The Color Purple, would watch it anytime I got bored. And my mother, who was an avid reader, had the book. And I remember being like 10 or 11 and seeing the book in her bookshelf. I was like, oh, I want to read that. I just want to compare it. Whew, when I tell you, I wasn't ready. Now, a lot of the book and the movie, a lot of the themes and some of the wording is the same. I mean, the dialogue is the same, but it was a lot more in depth. Going from Suge and Mr.'s relationship, Mr. and his father's relationship, even Squeak, Suge, and Celie and Sophia's relationship. Like, they go more in the book. They talk more about what happened when Squeak and Suge and Celie went with Suge to Memphis. They talk about that. They talked about how they all lived together and things like that. And, you know, they talked about the relationship that Suge and Celie had. And, I mean, they had a full-blown relationship. And, I mean, I almost felt bad for Celie because Suge, like, they would be doing good. And then Suge would go on the road and, you know, she'd do her thing. But she would always let Celie know. She'd be like, hey, look, you know, sometimes I need a man. I need a man to hold me, make me feel good. Because she needed that attention, you know. That's how Suge was. Suge was a person, she wasn't necessarily promiscuous to be promiscuous. That was just her way of feeling love, you know, getting affection by men. So you saw a lot of that dynamic in the book, along with the domestic violence and all that. You also see that, you know, she had her own little boutique and things of that nature. It's just a lot more into the story that we only got glimpses and pieces of in the movie. Now, don't get it twisted. The movie was beautifully done. And if you hadn't read the book, you wouldn't have known how in depth that they really get into these characters because it was so beautifully done in 1985, okay? So, with that being said, I saw the movie, read the book, and then I went to Chicago when The Color Purple was on Broadway. It was only on Broadway, only in New York and Chicago when it was on Broadway. And so I saw it in Chicago. And when I saw it, Michelle Williams from Destiny's Child played Suge Avery. And I loved it. When I tell you the Broadway musical was amazing. And to me, it was really close to the book. Even more close to the book than this musical adaptation that I'm going to get into. So I really enjoyed it. So, like I said, when they said they were going to do a musical adaptation and bring it to the movies, I kind of gave it the side eye because, again, I love the 1985 movie, read the book, and saw the musical. So I gave it the side eye, but I was also kind of interested to see what they were going to do since I've seen every adaptation. I just wanted to see what it was going to be about. And when I saw the trailers, I was like, oh, okay, I see you. And I like it. I like where you're going with this because you could tell like it was going to be a mesh between the movie and the musical, and the cinematography, it just looked beautiful. And I could just tell that from the trailer. So, okay. So I get to the movie. Now, mind you, their press run, if nothing else got you excited, the press run, okay? When I tell you that this press run had all of these beautiful ladies and gentlemen coming out, stepping like queens and queens, okay? I mean, they came out there stepping. The men looked so handsome. The women were just slaying. Like, everybody looked phenomenal during the press run, okay? And they were everywhere. So if you weren't excited before, the press run should have definitely got you excited because It was amazing. So again, I was excited, went to the movies, and I completely loved it. Now, what I loved, I'm going to start with what I liked about the movie, and then I'll go and let y'all know about what I was disappointed with, okay? Now, what I loved about the movie is that the musical, even though it was still sad and dark, the musical aspect gave it a little bit of joy and made the movie not so sad. If anybody watched the 1985 version, you know it is very sad and very triggering. This movie is still triggering, but it gives you a little bit of hope at the end of the day. And again, it just doesn't have you as much in your feelings as the 1985 one. You're gonna shed some tears, but it's just not as bad. It's not as triggering. That's all I can say about that. Now, I like the fact that, again, it was more of a musical. It wasn't a remake, so you didn't have that daunting thing of comparing. Even though you will start to compare because some of the dialogue is in there, some of the scenes are in there, so you're like, you can't help but to compare, especially if you've seen the 1985 movie time after time after time like I had. So you're going to be like, okay. Some of them you're going to be like, okay, you did good. And I'm just like, okay. I feel it, but y'all was rushing. But anyway, so the musical aspect part I loved. I love the fact that basically the premise of the movie was the same. Even though you got a little bit more backstory and you got a lot more story, which is what I love too. Like in regards to Sophia being in jail and Celie going to visit her and how that went. You get a lot more of that. You get more into what happened with Sophia after her and Harpo got divorced, even before she got sent to jail. You find out some things done happen with her. And I'm not going to do a little spoiler, but yeah, it was interesting. Sophia was living her life. And see, you don't get that in the 1985 film. You just get her coming to the juke joint with a date. But that date is more than her date. That's all I'm going to say. When you see the musical, you'll see when she brought back Henry Bronax. Yeah, he was just more than just a random date. Okay? So, anyway. So, I like that they gave him more story. So, that some of the things that we saw on the 1985 film, it helped give more clarity. So, I like that. More story. Like the lightheartedness. What else did I like? Okay. I like the fact that in the 1985 version, you can kind of see that Mr. gets to redeem himself. But in this movie, you really do get to see his road to redemption more in depth. So I like that. And I just like the choreography, the cinematography. It was just awesome. Overall, it was just an awesome film in regards to what I liked. Now, what I didn't like. Okay. Now, I told y'all certain scenes that they did the exact same dialogue for. Some of them were misses. Some of them were hits now. Some more were misses. And then some of the scenes that they did line by line, some of them, they did it but it seemed rushed. And when you guys go see the movie, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. It's two scenes in particular. And if you see it, please drop it down in the comments so we can talk about it, okay? It's two scenes that I was like, yeah, y'all rushed through that. Okay, what I didn't like, as someone who saw the Broadway musical, it's two songs in there that, since this was a musical adaptation, that I wanted to see. It's called Beautiful, what is it? Too Beautiful for Words and What About Love. Now, we didn't get neither one of them songs, and this is a musical based on the Broadway play. And I was mad because those were my songs. Okay? Yeah. So, anyway, I'm mad about those two songs that were out. But on the flip side of that, and this is goes back to what I liked about the movie. We did get some even though we got two songs from the Broadway musical that was taken out, we got some added. Like it's the song in the musical adaptation called "Working." I love them. I love that whole scene when they working, getting a Jew joint together. That was awesome. Um, what else? I like Halle Bailey's song that she did. But yeah, I was a little, again, upset that a couple of the songs from the Broadway musical didn't make it to the musical film. Like, especially What About Love? Because, you know, one of the things that has been kind of talked about, but not really, is Suge and Celie's relationship. And like I said, when I read the book, you found out that they was in a full-blown relationship, okay, when Celie went to Memphis with Suge, okay? So, in the Broadway musical, they touch on it even more so than when they did in the musical film. And What About Love is sung when Suge tells Celie she got to go be with this man. Okay, and she gonna come back to her, but right now she got to be with this man. So, yeah, I was just mad because I felt like if we would have had stuck to that storyline and had that in there, that would have been freaking amazing. Okay, because we already were in tears because the movie will make you go through some things emotionally. But if they would have had that, it would have been a dry in the house. So, but I do think they were really trying to keep it PG-13, so they was not really trying to go there, especially with people maybe bringing their kids there or whatever. But yeah, so I hate that. Let's see. Oh, I almost forgot. I do like that we did get to keep some of our favorite iconic songs from the original. You know, God's got to tell you something. God's trying to tell you something. And Sister. Now, granted, on the flip side of that, I know it's like, I like this, but I don't like that. But that's how this movie's going to be. But at the end of the day, it's such a good movie. Like, I'm saying what I don't like, but these are just like minor stuff because the overall story, the cinematography, the way they put it all together was great. Like, if you just take it for the film and not compare and just take it apart bit by bit, you'll be like, oh my God, it's amazing. So anyway, like I said, even though they do have God's trying to tell you something and Sister, well, or Miss Celie's Blues, which is what it's actually called, it's different. Like, it comes up in different ways, and I kind of like how it was put in the original movie. So that was the only thing about that. But yeah, I really like it. I really think that you all should definitely go see it. I'm actually going to see it again this week because I didn't go with my family. So now me and my family are going to make it a little movie day. So I'm going to go with them on New Year's Eve and still show my support again. Again, I suggest everybody go out and see it, go support. It's a really good movie. Like I said, the cinematography, Fantasia did her thing. Danielle Brooks stole the show. Taraji killed it all the time. I wouldn't expect nothing less. It's an amazing movie, you all. And again, if you're familiar with the Broadway musical, you're going to be pleasantly surprised. And if you're really, really familiar with the Broadway musical, you're going to be like, dang, they missed a couple of my songs, but I like it. Same thing if you're familiar with the movie. You're going to be like, okay, they left out this, but they added this, and I like it. The same thing with the book. You're going to be like, they missed this part in the book, but they added, they didn't put this, what I'm about to say. The same thing if you're familiar with the book. You're going to be like, oh, they didn't talk about this from the book, but they added this. So you're going to be pleasantly surprised. Overall, I give the movie definitely a solid B plus, A minus. No, A minus. Definitely an A minus. Please, y'all, go out and see it. Let me know what you all think about it once you've seen it. Until next time, y'all.